What would you do if God told you you were about to die? Not a doctor, not a prediction, but a direct message from heaven. No cure, no delay, no negotiation. Just one final instruction: put your house in order, because you will not recover, would you? Accept it, or would you fight it? Because one king in the Bible refused to go quietly. He didn't argue with doctors. He didn't gather an army. He turned to a wall and challenged God himself. And what happened next changed everything. His name was Hezekiah, a king unlike many before him. In a time when leaders bowed to idols, he tore them down. When others compromised their faith, he stood firm. He trusted God not just in words, but in action. He led his nation back to truth. He restored worship. He removed corruption. If there was ever a king who seemed to be doing things right, it was him. But here's something we often forget. Faithfulness does not make you immune to crisis, because one day everything changed. Without warning, Hezekiah became sick, not slightly sick, not temporarily weak. This was serious. This was terminal. And then a man walked into the room. Not just any man, a prophet, a messenger of God. He looked at the king and delivered a message that would shake anyone to their core. Put your house in order, because you are going to die. You will not recover. That was it. No explanation. No hope, no alternative. Just the end. The prophet leaves. The room grows silent. And in that moment, Hezekiah makes a decision. He doesn't panic publicly. He doesn't call his advisors. He turns his face to the wall, because sometimes the most powerful conversations are the ones you have alone with God. No audience, no performance, just honesty. And that's exactly what comes next. Hezekiah begins to pray, but this isn't a calm, composed prayer. This is raw, this is emotional, this is desperate. Remember me, Lord, he reminds God of his life. I have walked before you faithfully, with a whole heart, and done what is good in your sight. And then he breaks. The Bible says he wept bitterly. Not quietly. Not politely. This was grief. This was urgency. This was a man standing at the edge of death, refusing to accept it silently. This wasn't just prayer. This was a challenge that bowled out honest. Unfiltered. While all this is happening, the prophet is already leaving, walking away. The verdict had been delivered. The case was closed. But before he even leaves the palace, God speaks again. Go back. Everything changes in that moment. The same voice that declared death now declares life. The prophet returns. The king is still there, still weak, still waiting. But now the message is different. I have heard your prayer. I have seen your tears. I will heal you. Just like that. The ending is rewritten. Death is canceled. Life is extended. 15 more years. Think about that. 15 years added to a life that was already ending. But God doesn't stop there. He gives a sign. Something impossible. The shadow on the sundial moves backward. Time itself reverses, just for a moment, as if creation is responding to the prayer of one man. So what does this mean? Did God change his mind? Or was this always part of the plan? Because here's the tension. God is in control, but prayer still matters. Hezekiah didn't overpower God. He engaged him, and somehow that changed the outcome. But here's something many people overlook. Hezekiah got more time, 15 years. But more time doesn't always mean better decisions, because later he would make mistakes, pride would creep in, and the story would take a different turn. A second. Chance is still a test. Hezekiah was told, this is the end, but he refused to accept it quietly. He turned to the wall. He prayed, he cried, and heaven responded. So here's the question for you. What if some endings in your life aren't final yet? What if God is waiting, not for silence, for you to speak. Because sometimes the difference between the end and a new beginning is one honest, desperate, unfiltered prayer.